ID. Speaking notes. I'm sure many people would know who I'm talking about if I said Dr. Seuss, right? But would they know who I'm talking about if I used his actual name? Theodore Seuss Geisel is one of the most well-known and beloved children's authors of the 20th century. He created children's novels that are remembered by utilizing his imagination. Theodore Seuss Geisel developed a distinctive writing style that includes a variety of features and strategies that helps appeal to readers of all ages. Like most people, I too grew up reading Dr. Seuss because his books were easy, but yet very interesting to read. Seuss drew inspiration from his everyday life to include meaningful life lessons in his books. Today, I will be talking about his sources of inspiration and influences for his books, as well as the lessons and meanings behind them. Firstly, let me start off by discussing how Dr. Seuss got his inspiration. Dr. Seuss drew his inspiration from his family and the things around him. As far as family inspiration, his father was the one that actually inspired his love of drawing. According to Shelley Schwartz, a former writer for history and inventions on ThoughtCo, Geisel tagged along with his father for behind-the-scenes peeks at the Springfield Zoo, bringing along his pencil and sketch pad for exaggerated doodling of animals. His mother, however, was the one that influenced his unique writing style. Shelley Schwartz states, Henrietta would read to her two children with rhythm and urgency, the way she had sold pies at her father's bakery. Thus, Geisel developed an ear for meter and loved to make up nonsense rhymes from early in his life. As far as life experiences go, Dr. Seuss's first book was actually inspired by a ship's engine noise. According to the staff at NPR, for 8 days he listened to the ship's engine chug away. The sound got stuck in his head and he started writing to the rhythm. Eventually, those rhythmic lines in his head turned into his very first children's book, and it was called And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street. And the name Mulberry Street is inspired by a real-life street in Seuss's hometown. Now that I've talked about how Dr. Seuss got his inspiration, let's move on to discuss some of the messages in his books. Dr. Seuss wanted the messages in his books to be lighthearted, yet serious. In one of his books, Horton Hears a Who, it states, "Don't give up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small." According to Justin Harrison, a national marketing and communications coordinator, in Horton Hears a Who, Dr. Seuss highlights the importance of supporting others, even when they might be a little different from you. This is just one example of how Dr. Seuss's books contained a lighthearted yet meaningful message. Another one of Dr. Seuss's books that contain a serious message is The Lorax. As written in The Lorax, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Justin Harrison mentions, in The Lorax, Dr. Seuss shares a story of a world overrun with greed and environmental turmoil. Through sharing wise words from The Lorax, Seuss empowers young readers, telling them that as long as they let their passions guide them, they have the power to change the world. Lastly, I want to discuss about why Dr. Seuss wrote the way he did. Dr. Seuss wrote in response to the things that happened in life. In 1961, Dr. Seuss wrote The Sneetches and Other Stories. He wrote the book to teach children about discrimination and how two different groups didn't like each other during World War I. He wanted to teach children about that being disrespectful to someone based on their physical characteristics can be extremely hurtful. Written in 1984 as a symbol to his reaction for the rush for nuclear weapons, Dr. Seuss authored the Butter Battle Book. According to Diana Morrell and Jill Purdy, contributors to Study.com's English courses, it was inspired by the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Through his unique writing style, Dr. Seuss helped revolutionize children's literature and inspired many young readers. Seuss drew inspiration from his everyday life to include meaningful life lessons in his books. Seuss was able to draw inspiration from his family and the things around him. He wanted to produce books with lighthearted yet meaningful messages. Moreover, he wanted to help educate children all over the world by writing about life events. Theodore Seuss Geisel's children's novels continue to captivate readers of all ages by allowing them to escape into diverse worlds full of absurdity. This is because of a variety of significant people, meaningful life lessons, as well as a skilled use of unique literary approaches. Dr. Seuss would never have become the well-known children's author he is today if not for the impact of his upbringing and experiences in life.